We'll start with Node. Okay. See, first of all, Node is used for multiple works. Basically, you know, later in React, you will also learn that applications are deployed on Node, right? It works as a express server also. It works as a server also, right? But if you go by a simple definition of Node is basically used for first of all, it is a open source environment, and it is a cross platform also, right? Now, open source environment which actually works for server side or network application. As I told you, that your applications are deployed on Node, right? And application has to connect, so all network based work is also done via Node only, right? So Node is a physical, you can imagine it as a physical hardware on which your application actually works, right? So Node is open source like other JavaScript, all are open source, and they are cross platform. They work on all operating system, all environments, and they are majorly used for server side work to connect basically. Now Node is also created like React. It is also created on JVM, JavaScript Virtual Machine Engine, Chrome, Chrome V8 JavaScript Virtual Machine Engine. Node is also created on top of this environment. Similar to React, they both are created on top of same environment, right? Now, why Node is so popular? First of all, it is used for deployment purposes for a client side application wherein all these user interfaces are coming into picture, right? But it is also popular because they say it is very lightweight. Of course, every front end client side language is popular because of its lightweight features. And we can write, in React also, all packages are installed basically with the help of Node package manager. Sometimes in React also commands work because of Node. So in front end and back end application, in front end and back end work, we will use Node, right? So Node will be very handy for making our application work. You can say that application works because of Node, right? You will see npm install, right? Npm start to start the server, right? The server will start on the default port number 3000. Npm install, you can give any library name, Redux or whatever library. Globally you can install something, right? There is in this scripting application, there is package.json in which we mention dependencies. So it is the node package manager which install every dependency or every library, right, which is required by my application, right? So everything is running because of Node only. Okay, so that we need to understand that Node makes our application work. On Node we deploy our application. Node is also open source. Node is also cross platform. It makes our scripting application work on all environment, and Node is used for server side work. As I told you, my React application works because of Node, and all connectivity, router links, you will see they all will work because of Node. Node is lightweight. All front end back end work in our application, libraries. If you have to reduce the boilerplate code, and if you have to say adapt to the full stack work, anything, any library is involved, it will work because of Node only. Right now, to install Node, all you need to do is go to nodejs.org. From there you will get the node installer. Now, you know, uh, to check whether node is actually installed in your environment or not, you can go to your command prompt, or you can go to Visual Studio and you can simply type node-v. It says that this version is there on my system, right? Similarly, I can go to Visual Studio, and here also if I go to any terminal, if I go to terminal, I type the same thing and it will tell me what is the node version installed, right? That means node is installed on my machine. And then I can use Node Package Manager to load libraries in my local environment for my development and if I am on server also, oh, I did not put S, Node.js.org, right? From here you can download this, stable version 18.16, right? Once it works, so you have the environment ready for your scripting application to work. Now see, I can create new folder also to create node based, to learn node based commands. So here I can create a new folder or a new project. Just I created something called as node based commands. So I selected this folder and I get an open environment. After that I can create new files, right? Just to understand node command. So I just created node1.js. I just created one file, right? So first thing is, I should be, I should know what is node basically. If you understand that, your half of the work is over. You should understand that all libraries in your environment works because of node. All library, all packages, all APIs that you use as part of React application, they work because of node, right? Node is lightweight. Node helps you write backend works, front-end code, right? So once that is there, then you can learn. For example, now in this node or React framework level programming, we can load modules. So you can say, you are loading the file system module or a simple fs module, and you can use require function. Now there is default file system module that comes, since it helps us deal with server side or network based programming, right? I just said that entire file system module I gathered. This comes with Node.js, it comes with the node installer only. You loaded this module in your local file. I loaded this module called fs. Fs stands for file system, right? And first I will see synchronous programming. See, this Node, React, TypeScript, they all are famous for asynchronous programming, via callback or via async. They are popular because of that. But first I should know what synchronous line by line programming is. So using fs module, I can call this function called read dir synchronously, right? I said read C drive synchronously. Synchronous means one by one. I have written code now, it will execute now, right? Node and React are not popular for that. They are popular for asynchronous programming. But first I should know what synchronous programming is. So when they read the C drive, I would like to print the content of my C drive, right? I just said put data in front, and whatever you read from my C drive, print it, right? So they will write everything they read it from my C drive using file system module, which comes with node only. And we are just learning few node commands like require function, like this fs module. I should not have put this fs module, and read directory synchronously. And I can put one console log in the end also, that I'm done reading your file system. I'm done reading your file. because Node is actually used for server side or network based work. So reading your file system is also network based work, right? So I just opened the terminal, and on this terminal I ran this. I want to run this, node.j1.js, and it gives me the error that data. Oh, I did not put equal to sign here. So I saved it and I cleared the console and I run this. It gives me that I have all these files and folders as part of my C drive, right? They are there as part of my C drive, right? They are there as part of my C drive. The same thing they have shown. So what you can see, what I was talking about, they help us do network based, right? And they also help us do server based work, because Node is nothing. It makes our application work. It deploys our application. It makes our life easy by deploying the project or by getting the libraries for us which we want as part of our project, right? This is synchronous programming because there is no callback function involved, right? Now what is an example of asynchronous programming? File system module I have taken like this. This dir read directory synchronously is a synchronous function. But if I want to read something asynchronously, so I can create a callback, some function. Let's say function name is abc. Now to this function, either an error can come or it will give me the data. So if it gives me the data, I will print the data like this, the same way, but I just, whatever I was doing here, I did it as part of a function. And the difference between synchronous and asynchronous programming is, here you will always see without sync word. There are many functions which comes with sync and without sync. This is without sync and it is called as asynchronous programming, and you call a function name this. Now you have written this, it can execute anytime later, right? Again I wrote that I'm done with the async function, async code, asynchronous programming, right? So I wrote a function and I called it. Output will be same. Now I got two output. First, this async done printed, but it works later, right? Then you can see, right? So you get to see the, it can execute later also. Read dir with the help of file system module, which comes as part of Node only. And asynchronous programming means it can come in the beginning also, and this can work in the end also. That is what asynchronous means, right? It can work based on your interpreter, based on your JVM, based on your CPU, how your CPU works. It will work as and when they want, right? So we are now just learning few things: how to load a module, how synchronous function work, how asynchronous function work, right? Same thing, I can elaborate this further and further just to be first comfortable with with asynchronous programming, right? I created a file called asynchronous programming called JS. I'm not going to do something extraordinary. I just use the same command, file system require function, and I said, now again I have a function called xyz. A error can come and a data can come. If error comes, I will print the error, but right now as part of this I'm just printing that this is the first part. Let's say I printed this statement without data also, right? This is the first part, and then I printed that this is the second part, right? And then I called my function xyz using file system read directory, and I read the directory called C drive, and I passed this function called xyz. asynchronously. And I said last part. I just wrote this example just to make you see how asynchronously things will work. You know what kind of output you will see. You might see the second part first. This will be the first line that you will see on the output, because this function will work here. So this will be the second line that will work, right? And then we will run this, and then you will see this last line, right? So it might print second, last, and first, right? That nothing is sure, but oh, I ran the same file. Let's say the name of a file is async, right? Async. Oh, I misspelled it. So you see second part, last part, first part. As and when things comes, it runs. And the best part is everything is running. And we want it to work because multiple threads will be there, multiple user will be working, right? Actually, Node and React it's a single thread application. And that is why asynchronous programming is so, it works so effortlessly, and that is what made Node and React so popular, right? That everything will work without any interference or without any inconsistency issues, right? So that is one basic example of asynchronous programming and Node, how network based code is written. See, then comes, there is one export keyword that one should know. For example, I created my own file, my file, let's say module 1. I created this module 1, right? .js. We created this module. Now here I have a text, that here I have a hi message, right? And it simply says hello everyone from a file called module 1. So basically this message is written as part of module 1 file. But now I want this to work by everybody. So export keyword is used to make this variable available to all files, right? To make this variable available to all files, I use the exports keyword. Now how will I use this variable as part of other files? So I created a file called module2.js, and here I simply received the hi message from the first module. So I said require, and I said I need the first module. Now first module has the hi message available, right? Either I can do this, either I can put .js also, that is not mandatory, right? Now using this variable, this could be any name. I gave it hi message only, but this could be, module 2 variable. Now in this module 2 variable, the hi message exists. Now hi message was hello everyone from module 1, but I am reading this in module 2. So if I run this file node and then followed by module 2.js, it will work hello everyone from module 1. And now what I learned, this is how a library or a package is loaded. Then I learned this is how callback or asynchronous programming works, calling it as part of any asynchronous function. And now I am learning that if I have to make my variable method available to everybody, I will use exports keyword in Node or React or in this scripting framework, right? To make things available to others, right? To make things available to others. Similarly, so I have learned 2-3 things, right? These might be new for a programmer because Java and other languages we have heard. Right now there is a Lodash library. This Lodash library, it is an open source library, right? It's an open source library, and it has some functionality, some related to modules. And so now if you want Lodash library, either you install it with the help of Node package manager, install you give the name of a library Lodash, they will install it. This is how Lodash library will be installed in my local environment. Right, now let it just, so it got installed, and now I want to use third-party library .js. I want to use this third-party library or a package. Now in this Lodash library, there is a function called random, which gives me a random value between 1 to 100, minimum and maximum. Right, this, it returns me a random number, minimum and maximum. So what I will do, I will use underscore require function, and I will say give me the access to Lodash library. Right, this is how you can remove this also. Right, a Lodash library will be given to us, and then using underscore I can call the random function, and I can give between 1 to 100, give me a random number, and I can put this inside console log, and I will see the output between 1 to 100. So if I clear the console and if I run again using node and then the name of file, use third party library, it will give 75, 60, 56. A random number is given to me by this third party library, which I learned how to download or how to install using npm install. Right, so during the during React, you will see I will use Redux or other libraries. Right, so but I just use this library to give me a random number. In Java I have to write a specific code which will give me a UI random number from the third party, from the API available. Here I can use from a Lodash library. Okay, now in JavaScript I taught you what JSON is, JavaScript object notation. It is recognized by a figure bracket or curly braces. It is the combination of key value pair. Right, and now let's say I have got some JSON file. So first I will create one file called data.json.
Is my voice audible?
Yeah.
Is my voice audible? In the previous one, there was a Lodash library. So in the previous one, there was a Lodash library. So there's this random had to do something with Lodash.
There is a standalone.
Random had to do something with Lodash. Does this random have something to do with the Lodash?
Right.
This random
Lodash library, I told you variable dollar or underscore $underscore side you can use. Otherwise I could use any variable name also. And random function belongs to Lodash library. That is why I am doing this. So when I run this, it gives me a random number. When I saw this as part of a browser, here I could see that, so I just used it.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So once I have understood this, I created one JSON for myself, and I just printed that the name of a user is John. So this is a JSON, and here I can put the key also as a string, because JSON key is always string. Right, so now I would like to again understand node commands to read JSON. Right, so I created this file to read JSON. Now this is a file, so of course I will need a file system. So where file system require, again I use the file system module to read this file. Right, so I said I need this file require function, and I give data.json, which has a name property and a value property associated to that. This is my file. I could name it as data also. Right, so I have the file system module and I have the data this wherein the key value pair combination exists. Now I can use console log, or there is one global keyword also called, which is used with console. All global variable, you can use global with that, keyword, we can use global with that. So this data has a name property whose value is John, right? So it will give me data.name and it will give me John. So when I clear the console and when I run this file to read JSON, it gives me the error that it says cannot find file data.json. Right, so here when I said, oh, it's not a library, it is in the current module. So again I cleared and I ran this again and it gives, node name of a file is to read JSON. Again it gives me the error that unexpected end of the JSON input. So this is JSON, I have the name inside this colon, right, and this is the JSON and the name of file is this. So where data required data.json and the file system module, and I write it using data.name. Here also I have data.name and it gives me the error unexpected end of the JSON input. Unexpected end of the JSON input. So now let's say some error has come. It is good that some error has come, right? Let me print it without global also for once. So it again gives me the error. I said okay, fine, the error is there. I'll use file system read file, not synchronously, asynchronously. And I said we have to read this file called data.json, and I gave this file as it is, that read this data.json file. Now either I can create a function and call it here, or I can create it by myself. But now earlier Unicode, APID, ASCII, multiple formattings were there to transfer the data over network. Since Node is only used for network server side work, so UTF-8 is followed. The second parameter is optional. It is better you write it, but if it is not, it is just to make sure that when my code will transfer over server, it will not come in any encrypted, decrypted language basically. Now I have to write a callback function. Without giving a name, I said let me write a callback function here itself. I could have done it by creating a function, but I wrote it directly here. Now here I said that var.data, actually the correct way to get the data is json.parse, and then the method, this data that we got from top, I passed it. The same thing I could pass here also, but here I just said, this is how whatever data you will get, first parse it, check it, and if it is checked properly, then you should print it like this, console.log data.name, right? So then let's see now whether it reads or not using callback function. So here again I get the error that same thing, unexpected end of the JSON input. Here I have got data.json, right? So within brackets I have name property and I have the user property in double quotes, followed by there is a colon in between that, right? So and where data require, and there here I said data.json, spelling is also right. File system, I pass the same data here, right? By any chance is the issue? Now here it says cannot find. Inside this I have data.json and the name and key is in double quotes. What is the mistake? Whether I do it asynchronously or like this, it's giving me error. First I loaded the file system module, then I required the data.json. Then using file system read line, and I pass this data.json utf-8 utf. It could be single quotes also, but it doesn't matter that much. And then JSON, this data, and I am taking the output inside this only. So unexpected end of JSON input. Unexpected end. Something is wrong with this JSON file. What is wrong with this JSON file? Data is in double quotes. Right. Do I have to put this inside this? Or shall I give data inside like this? Now when I run this, unexpected token, this data that we are passing to data.json. What is the mistake that I am making? Where file system require where data.json utf-8 error can come, data will be given. Right, file system fs module, and here it might be second data 2. I created a new variable and this name property is there inside this JSON. Object unexpected token O in the JSON at position 1. Here I have got in this JSON file. If I give this data directly to this, then will it work? Then it works perfectly fine if I give this file, if I give this data directly, right? But using this data.json, it is not loading this file. Why is it not loading? And why this separate? If I give this content, then it works perfectly fine. So data.json data 2, if I pass data 2, then it doesn't work. So in that case, is there any, if I take this outside and if I put it as part of comment, and here if I say data 2 dot something data 2 json.parse name string will be given, right? But I gave a string here itself, right? So here actually it is not taking the file, but it is taking the data. So if I don't give this and if I directly give this data, so what I wanted to tell you was that here the same JSON.parse which we have learned earlier in the JavaScript, the same data JSON.parse to validate the object we are using it as part of Node also. So we are using require function in Node and we are using JSON.parse to parse the content of an object and we are printing it. I will check this part that why it is not separately taking this file. Something must be wrong with my environment only, but I will check that. Right. So we have seen multiple things, that how we load a module, how synchronous, asynchronous with the help of this function, right? Callback function, random load dash library, how libraries are installed, right? And how we pass one module, one particular field or a function also I will show you, to the entire file system. So here we don't have access modifier like we have in Java. Here we have export, right? So things like that. Now see, we have learned require. Now there is, we have learned the file system module. Now there is another module which comes as part of Node. So I created a file called node2.js, right? Instead of file system, there is a path module also which comes as part of node.js. So here I simply said the entire module or library is put in this variable called path. Now let's say I would like to know which file I am working on or which file is getting used, right? So I use backtick, $, this curly braces, string templating basically. So the entire module, and here I have got a function called base name, and here double underscore directory name or double underscore file name will give me the name of file where we are working, right? So here it will give me clear the console, and if I run this node2.js, it gives me the name of the file name is node2.js, and this we loaded actually with the help of path module or path library which comes as part of Node.js only, right? So here I just made use of path module to see how it works, just to, like, if you remember in Java and now there is a path module. Here I have just read the file name, there is a directory name also, right? Ultimately everything from the other programming languages are coming to this, to this scripting language also. So it gives me that the directory is basically the node commands only, right? The directory is node commands only. Similarly, if you pass any runtime argument, that runtime argument also can be picked up, like in Java you have args with string array. Here you have process.argv to read the runtime argument, right? That comes from after executing the React based library also, right? This also I can read. For example, if I create a function and the name of function is read runtime argument, right? If I say read runtime argument, and if I say that I will give you a particular flag based on which you have to read, so first it will say after that flag what is there. So I just created a variable called data after flag, and process.argv.index of the flag that you will give me, I will add 1 to that, right? Because I have to read after that, and then I will return the whatever process.argv inside this. After that data, after that flag, whatever is there, I will return it for you. So this function is basically whatever flag, whatever parameter, whatever argument, whatever sign, or whatever, you know, location, place that I will give, it will read afterwards. Right? For example, I just created a variable called greeting message. Right? So here I use this function read runtime argument, and I said when I run this you will see greeting, and you have to read it after this. Right? So here after this you have to read the message. Similarly, you have to read the user also. Right? Here after this user will be given, you have to read it afterwards. So after this you have to read the greeting message, and after this you have to read for which user you have written this. And whatever you read, can you please print it for us, the greeting message and the name of a user for whom this message was written down. Right? Now if I run this, I clear the console, and if I run node2.js, but I have to pass the message, right? For example, I said user, this is a flag, and I said this is written for John, let's say, or let's say Mary. Right? For this user we have written the message, and here is the greeting, another flag, and for that, we have written a message that, welcome to server side or node level programming. Right? Now when I press enter, it says welcome to node level programming Mary, but it wrote it, in the new line, because after this greeting message, after greeting it read welcome to node level programming, and after user it read Mary. Right? I could have also said that put some space in between and print read user here itself. Comment this part out. When I run the same thing, it says welcome to node level programming Mary. But what you can see right now is that I am reading the arguments like I read in Java. Same thing we read in Python also. This we have to use in React also, because ultimately we are talking about server side network, basic communication level programming using scripting language. So process.arg will help me in that also. And we learned about path module like Java NIO path. Right? So same thing, now we are talking in terms of communication on the server, how files will talk to each other. Right? For example, now I create a little complex JavaScript file to read and write the questions. Right? So using process is a keyword like console, like global, like require. Here process standard output. So using standard output, first I wrote a message for everyone that hello everyone. Hello everyone is my message for everyone. Here I wrote hello everyone to everybody before we start. That here we are going to read and write questions. I'm going to hello everyone. I'm going to ask certain questions. You answer and I will print it for them. So using constant, because questions don't change once we declare, right? So square bracket signifies array. Push pop, shift unshift can be used. So first we can say that give us your name please. Then we can say, let's say, are you ready for the test? Let's say this is a question that I'm just putting. Right? First give us a name, and then are you ready for the test? And then, let's say, how about, test in Node.js? Right? Whatever we write, it will just print it for us. So first I said, what is your name? Are you ready for the test? And third is, can you give a test in Node? This server-side programming, server-side communication thing. And I created another array called answers, empty array. Square bracket signifies array. curly bracket signifies map or a object, right? And then I said, let's start the question paper, let's ask the question, right? So I said we will start one by one using this index I. Now using process.standardoutput.write we can start asking the questions, right? Let's put again backtick a new line before we start, and the questions are available as part of this array. So $, curly braces, I starting with 0, right? Based on the length we will keep asking. Again I means length is 0 1 2, but length will give me 3. I will give 3. So first I asked the question at the ith position, and then I put this sign so that they know they have to answer this, and I can write this within backtick. So first a question, give us your name, then this arrow sign will come so that they can answer it. Now this is how we are asking the question, and this is what I'm going to call ultimately, but I need to gather the answer also. So process.standardoutput on event is used, when user will write something, right? So this is how I will write it. When user will type something, I will get it here. So callback level programming, asynchronous programming, whatever user will write, it will come in the data variable. So using the same data, whatever user will write, I started this function using this arrow function, right? The same data I gave it, right? Same data. Now here it is the definition directly, function expression is there. Now I have to write what user has written, right? Using standard input, I use process standard output, and here I will simply mention what user has written, data toString toString dot, let's remove the spaces also if user has included some, right? So I will ask this question, I will put a greater than angular sign, whatever user will answer I will write. Now I have to run everything. So using ask, I just said this questions dot length, or I have to start with 0th actually. So let's start with answers dot length, right? So that first answer, second answer, third answer, and then ultimately this will over, because after 3 nothing is there, right? So I saved it, I cleared the console, and I named it as complex, right? So here it says hello everyone, name, I just said let's say Yogesh, right? It printed Yogesh for us, but it didn't move ahead. They didn't know how to ask the second question, right? So it is an incomplete code, so I have to complete it, right? Questions I have written, answers we can take inside this function we have written, we can give a default value also. If I answers dot length is not given, then we can give default value. And here instead of this I can, let me just comment it out, not delete it. I could have started here by, now 0th position is there, so it will automatically start, but here I have to proceed it properly. So I said this is my array, push function is there to put data in the end, data have the answer, toString trim, whatever user give I will put it as part of the answers array, right? I will keep checking if answers dot length is less than questions dot length, that means all answers are not all questions are not answered. So again I will ask based on the answers length, because I have to still keep moving ahead. So I'm just correcting my logic. Otherwise, if this if condition fails, then in that case I need to gracefully exit. That means all questions are answered, right? That means all questions are answered. Now we can also write process dot on event standard input or without standard input also, if this exit is called, which we are calling it by ourselves. If this exit is called, then via function expression we can also write bye everyone, just to go gracefully. Bye everyone. This is how scripting will work, right? So now same thing is there. Question one by one. Give us your name. Would you like to start giving the test? Node.js. Question will come. I will ask, starting with the 0th position. And here, when a user will type something, here I will put it. First, I will put it as part of an array. Then I will keep asking this question. So it will ask me this question second time. And once I exit, I'll say bye everyone. But also let me write user what user has answered. So what user has answered, I can write with the help of process.standardoutput.write, just to mention what all user has answered, right? So we can say, we have got the name of a user, which is the first answer. So $, curly braces, we have everything inside the answers. So answers 0th has the name of a user, right? And it has to be within backtick. So this is the name of a user. And then comes the, would you like to start giving the test on the Node.js? That is the consent, So the first index is yes or no on Node.js. And the third is, how are they fine with Node? They can start answering it. So that is the third answer, third thing, that can we proceed. So just to write down what user has actually written in the end, just to see what user has written. Now let me stop it, clear the console, and let me rerun it. It says name. I just said, let's say Yogesh. It says test. I said yes. It says Node.js. I said yes, let's say. Then it says bye everyone. Yogesh, yes, Node.js. And then it says yes, name. Oh, this length should be 2. Right. Again I cleared. And then I said name, let's say John, test node, yes. It says John name Node.js, yes, proceed, right? The answers, second, I have written node, so it has also written node. But you can see how we communicate via script. This, you should not get confused. This is the array. Right, this is how we wrote something on the file on the console to the other system using process standard output, right? This we initialized another array. This is how function declaration is written down, right? This is how functions are called, right? And this is how, when somebody writes something, how we pick things up and how we proceed ahead gracefully. And once everything is over, then we call the exit event. Right, once everything is over, then we call the exit event, right? So this is just the beginning of the server side or network based programming. Ultimately, how script talks to each other from the front end till the back end. Same thing we'll use in React also. Okay.